Use this plugin to get 200% more traffic. How's that for an alluring promise? The idea is that you can test different headlines and measure which ones get the most inbound clicks from social media. So people come to your website and they share your post on social media with the different headlines as share texts. You then measure which headline share text gets the most inbound clicks. And then as a logical consequence, you should be able to say, okay, this headline gets the most clicks, therefore if I use this, I will get more traffic, right? At first glance, this seems to make sense, but on closer inspection, it turns out to be rather stupid. In fact, this idea fails on every single step in the process. Let's look at the biggest problem first. Different people who share your post have different amounts of social reach. Visitor A sees headline 1 and shares your post on Twitter, but only has 12 followers. Visitor B sees headline 2 and also shares your post on Twitter, but to hundreds of thousands of followers. Obviously, that second tweet is going to get far more clicks. Now you could be looking at your stats and see that headline 2 got far more clicks than headline 1 and conclude headline 2 must be better. But really, the headline that was shared has nothing to do with the amount of clicks you got, and it has everything to do with the social reach of the account that it was shared on. Now maybe you're thinking, well, that evens out over time, right? If we leave a test running long enough, some of the people who share my post will have a lot of followers, some of them will have few followers, and it's all randomized. So all averaged out, we can still tell which headline gets the most shares, right? Nope. Distribution of followers on social media is notoriously disproportionate, with very few accounts having massively more followers than the vast majority of accounts. What does that mean for our test? It's reasonable to assume that the numbers will in fact be skewed heavily by social reach. It's highly likely that 1 or 2 of the people that share your content will have more followers than all the other sharers combined. And as a result, any click data you gather is completely irrelevant. Let's be clear about something. This fact alone already completely ruins the premise of most headline testing tools that I have found. But it's not even the only problem. If I tried to cover all of the problems, this would be a very long video. So instead, let's just quickly go through the 2 biggest other issues. Number 1, you can't actually control what people share on social media. Sure, you can suggest your post's headline as the share text, but your visitors can and often will edit this before sharing. Number 2, you also can't run a properly controlled test by sharing different headlines yourself on your own social media accounts and counting the number of clicks. Why not? Because you can't share different headlines to the same people at the same time, which is what you'd have to do for a controlled test. You can tweet headline A in the morning and headline B in the afternoon, but who's to say that it was the headline and not the timing of the tweet that makes a difference in the click counts? Or you can tweet headline A today and headline B tomorrow at the same time of day, but we already know that people aren't equally active on social media on different days of the week, just as they aren't equally active on different times of day. I've been talking about Twitter so far, but all of these things apply to other social networks equally. Social reach distribution is highly disproportionate. People can edit before they share, and you can't run a controlled A/B test unless, in some cases, when you buy ads. But then ads aren't the same as organic social posts either. So what's the bottom line here? If you see any tool or plugin that claims that you can test headlines to get more traffic, you now know that it is simply a bold-faced lie. It just doesn't work like that. In fact, instead of using one of those tools, you might as well flip a coin or roll some dice to pick a headline, because your results will be just as irrelevant. If you want to run a real A/B test for your headlines, one that gets real results and not just random numbers, then you have to run the test in a controlled environment. That controlled environment is your own website, where you can randomize visitors correctly and test how different headlines affect visitor engagement. A headline that gets the greatest number of clicks and the highest visitor engagement on your own site is what we call the best performing headline. And it's a fair guess to say that this headline will also get more clicks from other sources, such as social media, and that it will also get more shares. And to be clear, that is still just an assumption that we're making and that we can't fully test. But at least it's a fair assumption made on real, solid data. Now, you may be thinking that what I'm saying here doesn't sound as sexy as use this plugin to get 200% more traffic. And you're right, it doesn't. If you are still not convinced, or if the idea of just using a plugin and getting way more traffic is just too alluring, then I invite you to run a simple experiment. Get one of those tools that make these claims and use it to run your headline tests. Now, very soon, you will see that you have headline variations that will tell you that they're getting 100%, 200%, or even more extra traffic over the control, which is fantastic, right? Now, log into your analytics and brace for disappointment. Where is all that extra traffic? That's right, it doesn't exist because the numbers the plugin is showing you are just totally made up. So can you see why this kind of thing pisses me off? It's just wrong, and it's also totally misleading and dishonest. So when you're fed up of having this kind of nonsense clogging up your WordPress website, you will know where to come for the real stuff.